I like to say farmers, as people in the industry that have orchards, we're harvesting sunlight. Sunlight is the key to photosynthesis.
Right.
Photosynthesis is the life source of all plants. That's
Right.
what we prune, is to make sure that we can able to, in a sense, harvest the sunlight so our trees can continue producing healthy, beautiful fruit.
This is the Real Food, Real People podcast.
There is a lot of effort that goes into the food that you eat. Here in Washington, a lot of that is tree fruit. We're famous for our apples and cherries, pears, peaches. It goes on from there. But there's a lot of effort and science and education that goes into training the people growing that food that we produce here in Washington. I'm Dylan Honkoop, the host of the Real Food, Real People podcast. Glad you're here with us on this episode as we visit Wenatchee Valley College and meet Francisco Sarmiento, who's a professor at the college, but grew up as a farm worker, and he'll share his story as well as more about the latest technology and science that goes into growing the best apples and other tree fruit in the world. Francisco.
Dylan, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you in person.
So here we are, Wenatchee Valley College. Community college, what's the official name?
Wenatchee Valley College, community college. It's community college, yes.
And what's the name of your program here? Because you are on faculty.
Yeah, so I'm one of the faculty members here at Wenatchee Valley College, and I am part of the agriculture department here at WVC for short.
But and we're going to get your story later, but you've been around this world of tree fruit and wine grapes for a long time, right?
Yeah, so a little bit of a brief summary is I've worked in the industry for about 10 years at different capacities, and involving from tree fruit, wine grapes, research, and now education now. So I love being here at Wenatchee Valley College. I graduated from this campus, and so it's good to be back home.
Well, it's a beautiful campus, and I want to go in and see your lab, because people think about farming and growing food and orcharding and think, it's just hard work, and it is that, but there's a lot of science to it too.
Yes.
And I know you guys do a lot of cool stuff in the lab here for your own research, as well as teaching more folks who are in the world of growing this food how to do this stuff.
That's right.
So maybe we go into the lab and check it out. You can show us what you guys do.
Let's do it.
So this is the lab.
Yeah.
The Ag Lab here at Wenatchee Valley College.
Yeah, so we have a lot of equipment here that we can do a lot of analysis here with looking for viruses or bacteria in tree samples that we harvest, and so we got quite a few unique tools here.
So how much of that is like actual research that you guys are doing, and how much of that is training people to be able to use these kinds of tools for what they're doing?
So a lot of this equipment that we use here is a lot more for teaching students. Like, this is other avenues of agriculture you can go work in. So we don't do a lot of research, but we do some. But our main focus here is to kind of just train the students and let them know, like, hey, this is another avenue you can go into, and not just go work in the orchard like we mentioned before.
Right.
But having this opportunity for the students here is very unique. This wasn't here when I was here, so I kind of wish I was going to school when we had the Ag Lab, so I can get exposed to this kind of equipment.
How important is science and all the different stuff you guys do in a lab like this, or a farm, or some other lab? How important is all that to growing tree fruit and wine grapes?
I think it's very important. It's very critical. That way we can be able to, diagnose our trees in a sense, find out what's going on with them, find out their tree health, tree nutrients. What do we need to add, or what do we need to fix here and there? A lot of this equipment you can see a lot in wine grapes to find out pH balances and see what's going on in the wine too, and be able to make it better, or make it unique.
So it's not just put plants, trees, whatever in the ground and let them grow. Like, no. There's a lot to keeping them healthy.
Yeah. Yep, there's a lot of science going into it. We work closely with WSU as well too, but they give us tours here of their labs as well too, and so we have a good partnership with them as well.
And you guys even do like DNA sequencing and stuff in here?
Yeah, so we're able to test for little cherry virus and leaf roll viruses as well for wine grapes. And so it's been pretty cool to get some samples and come back here to our lab here and actually do the hands-on and crush our samples and extract the DNA and find out what's going on.
So you're testing DNA, the DNA of the actual virus that's potentially affecting a tree, infecting a tree, I guess. What do those kinds of viruses do to the fruit, to the crop?
So I keep mentioning little cherry virus, and this is one of the viruses that's pretty prominent here in the area and throughout our state. So little cherry virus, what it is, it has it in the name. It produces little cherries. So these cherries are unmarketable, and we can't really sell those cherries. And the other thing too, not apart from being small, they don't really have too many flavor. They don't have much flavor. There's no sugar in them, so they don't taste good.
Is it bad to eat fruit from a tree with a virus, or is it just something that affects only that species, I guess?
No, you can eat them, so you can find out like, okay, if I see a weird looking cherry, a little less red than a traditional like dark cherry, you can taste it to see the difference. It's nothing's wrong's gonna happen if you eat these cherries.
So it's not like a virus that I could get, or you.
No.
It's a virus that trees get.
It's plant exclusive, so we're fine.
So how did you get into this world of growing food? What's your background in farming and all that?
Yeah, so my background it has a lot of farming in its background. My parents and my mom's siblings, they own an orchard. They have a little family fruit stand, and that's where I started working. So ever since I was about maybe 15, I started working there at the fruit stand and just kind of helping out the family. Yeah. So I was kind of like a cashier and selling fruit. So it was fun. It was a good starting job.
So that was here, or where was that?
That was here, yeah. It's about a 20-minute drive from here towards Chelan as well. And that's where I kind of started developing a sense of appreciation for agriculture. But ever since when I was in high school, I wanted to be a music teacher at first. I was really involved in music. I did jazz band. I was a drum major, band president. So I was involved heavily in music, and I wanted to be a music teacher at first. Yeah. But I took a quarter of music theory and ear training here on campus. I passed my classes, but I was like, this isn't for me.
That's tough stuff.
Yeah, and so then I was also taking agriculture classes at the same time with that, and I just kind of like, okay, all my chips on that table. I pursued agriculture, and I got my 2-year degree in tree fruit and horticulture from Wenatchee Valley College, and so during my time at the college, I was also interning for Northern Fruit Company, and I also interned for AgroFresh, and they're more of a research. They're working with a compound called 1-MCP, which is a 1-methylcyclopropane, which helps reduce the rate of respiration for the fruit. So when fruit ripens, it's releasing ethylene, and ethylene is a hormone that ripens fruit. Right. So 1-MCP does, it slows that down, so we can have fruit for longer. And so you see 1-MCP in the practical use right now, more in the warehouses and anything, and all that good stuff. And that's how we're able to ship apples overseas, and they're still looking good. Yeah.
So is that compound safe?
Yes.
To be on apples, like how do you know that, and what should people know about it?
It is a safe compound. It's not harmful to us, and there's been a lot of research going into it. AgroFresh was one of the places where I worked with it quite a bit, and so it's all safe, and it's not harmful or anything. It's just helping us maintain our food longer and keeps us. We'll have food on the table in the long run.
Yeah, I know. I saw something a while back. Someone had a Cosmic Crisp apple. This was like an influencer or someone on Instagram, and they were scraping a layer off of like waxy stuff. Yeah. Is that what that was, or what was that? Is that natural on the apple, or they were saying, oh, we need to be really scared. What are they putting on our food? Yeah. What does the actual, scientists and farmers say?
So I've seen a very similar post as well on Instagram, but that little waxy material, that's just a food grade wax. It's just to keep the hydration in the apple, to keep it juicy still for us. It's safe to eat. I mean, it's FDA approved, and it's just there to protect the fruit for once it gets on the shelves that's at your local store. The 1-MCP, it's a gas, and so it's not you won't find it on your apple.
So it's not even like a liquid that's sprayed on. It's
No,
a gas
it's
that's in. So is that in the room then wherever apples are stored,
Yes.
basically?
Yeah, so it's in the room, in the cold storage rooms. There are two different ones. There's cold controlled atmosphere and just regular atmosphere. Regular atmosphere meaning that, it's just put it in a cold room, and that fruit that goes into that storage is the one that's going to get sold really quickly, or it's going out the next day.
Because it's going to ripen faster.
Not necessarily. That it's already kind of like pre-sold to go to its destination, to the store.
I see.
And for the controlled atmosphere, it's more like, okay, we're going to take out some of the gases, and we're going to reduce the oxygen content. We're going to reduce some of the what we're normally breathing,
right.
And we're going to drop it down really low so we can slow that process of respiration down and ripening as well too. So that's one of the cool things about all the science and research that's been going on is that we're able to store apples today and hold them for 12 months, and then they're still good. So
that's awesome.
It is very awesome.
So way back to the beginning, your parents were in farming.
Yes.
So what did they do?
My dad and mom they came from Mexico, and they came here for a new beginning and a second opportunity. And so I'm very happy and proud of them for what they've done, and raising me as my younger brother as well.
Yeah.
But my dad started out as a general laborer, started pruning, picking, you name it, he did everything. And over the years, as he got the opportunity to go to school, he took that opportunity, and now I get to work with my dad. Now I'm teaching alongside him, and
because he's a teacher here too.
Yeah, my dad is a teacher here. Well, we share the same names, so it's kind of difficult to distinguish ourselves.
Senior and junior.
Yeah, in a sense, yeah. On campus, I took the nickname Frank to make it a little shorter.
Okay. Yeah.
But we both work together, and I'm very much happy and proud to be working here with him. So
yeah, what was their experience like being in that world? I mean, that's hard work, and I'm sure there's a lot of uncertainty, especially when you're starting a journey like they did, right?
Yeah, very much so. And it's there's a lot of uncertainty in that.
Yeah.
But we got to take risks, and there's no other way around it. I mean, that's the way we move along life. I took a risk, choosing agriculture when I started making my career choices. And so I don't look back. I don't regret it. So I don't.
And you said your dad got the opportunity to go to school. How did that pan out? How did he get that opportunity as someone who was a farm worker at that time?
Yeah, so it's very tough, and it's a very unique dynamic in a sense, just because not a lot of people get that opportunity to go to school. And this was earlier too, back like in the 80s, 90s, before I was born.
Yeah.
So when my dad got the opportunity, he fought for it. He worked probably 10, 12 hours a day, and then went to school at night to learn English for another 2-3 hours.
Wow.
Got home around 9 o'clock at night, and then it was back at it again within a few short hours. So my dad worked his butt off, and he instilled that work ethic in my younger brother and myself, and so it's very inspiring.
So where was he going to school? Was that right here in the valley kind of thing?
We're standing where he went to school.
Really?
Yeah. So my dad learned English here at Wenatchee Valley College, and then he started taking these classes called the Hispanic Orchard Employee Education Program. And that's one of the classes that now I'm teaching alongside him. Yeah.
So explain that. What's that all about? How does that work?
So the Ag Department here at Wenatchee Valley College, we have a couple different programs. We have the Tree Fruit and Horticulture Program. That's a 2-year AA degree here, and it's a direct transfer to WSU as well. So you do 2 years here, you can go to WSU for 2 other years, and you got your bachelor's degree, and you save quite a bit of money. The Hispanic Orchard Employee Education Program, that's a certificate program. So it's not your regular 2-year degree or anything. It's a little different per se, but our classes go from November through March. They're all taught all in Spanish, and so that we do teach also civics, English, and math skills, and that's what the program is in a sense. We have 7 different I call it HOEEP for short, or HOEP. So we have 7 different programs. 4 of them are tree fruit and horticulture based. beginning and advanced agriculture, horticulture. Right now, we have our field-based IPM class, which is integrated pest management, and we're learning about pests that can either be beneficials or the stuff that harms our fruit, that affects our fruit.
Yeah.
So we teach all our students how to identify correctly and what to do, or more in the sense of like how to scout, how to identify, and then what are the next steps after that.
So these are extra skills, extra education for farm workers who are wanting to get higher positions kind of thing and do more on the farm, or
Yeah,
that's certificates to be able to say, hey, I completed this course or this program, now, hire me to be a supervisor, or how does that work for the average worker?
Yeah, so a lot of the students that we get through the HOAP is they're all farm workers. 100% of them are farm workers, and it'll range from crew bosses or general laborers all the way up until managers. And so a lot of the students that I'm barely in my second year, but my dad's been doing this for about 20 years now.
Yeah.
So we've had about quite a lot of students, and a lot of those students that have graduated and gone through the program have actually moved up in their positions. And some of them nowadays are managers or field area managers. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of these students, the cool thing is that all these students that have gone through our program, they send their new employees or their workers that they feel like they can, give them an opportunity to go.
Right.
So that's one of the cool things that we work with the industry on that as well too. And so, it's a very unique program.
So there is opportunity in that world. Again, yes. I think we talked about it a little bit earlier, like the misnomer of, you just go out in the field and work. Well, there's science, and there is opportunity to learn more of that from more people to engage in growing food beyond just doing the hard work, even though everybody's got to do that part too, right?
Yeah. And, that hard work is always going to be there, and there's no escaping it. And, thankfully we have programs such as the H2A and, the locals that also help us get the fruit. There's a lot of ways to get that, and a lot of the people here, there's a lot of opportunity.
So I guess since you grew up in a farm worker family, your parents were, you were, and now you work in education with a lot of farm workers, that's something that's talked about politically and in the news sometimes. What's going on with farm workers? What does that community really need? Are they being treated well? These kinds of questions. What do you think people need to know about farm workers and what they really care about and what's important to them and what they need?
That's a great question. A lot of the farm workers nowadays, and most of them were with the bigger companies in a sense, they bring a lot of H2A workers. And a lot of these H2A workers, they're here to, get that sense of what's America like and how, what can I possibly move here one day? Because they get a taste of it here. They get a job, they get housing, and they get transportation to and from work. And most of the time they live on the farm too.
Right.
So that's a very unique opportunity for anybody that's in an H2A program, just because they come here, they make money, and that money they make here, most of the time, a lot of that money ends up going back to their family that's waiting for them in Mexico.
Yeah.
So it's if we look at it, we think of it like H2A is they're here, just workers here that are going to, do the job that we need them to do.
Right.
But we also gotta, also think of it from their perspective.
Yeah.
They're coming here, they're taking that sacrifice of leaving, 3 to 9 months out of the year and be away from their family. I'm just assuming, and I'm just thinking about if I was in their shoes, that's a little hard. And so they're taking that opportunity and that risk in a sense to, make money here and then take it back home and, continue bettering their home life.
So you hear a kind of a different perspective from farm workers, because you get to do H2A workers get to come into a program at all and do education? Does that even work if they're here on a visa, or is that just something that's for local, domestic workers?
That's a great question. Just barely being 2 years into the program, so far we've only had one H2A student in my classes.
But it is possible.
It is possible, yeah. It's just the employee has to work it out with their manager and be like, hey, I'm going to miss an entire day of work and I'm going to go take these classes. So our classes operate 1 day a week. We start at 8 in the morning, finish at 5 in the afternoon, and we teach the theory, well, what we do, why we do what we do, and we also include that English and math component with civics as well.
That's cool.
So it's a one day commitment, and so that way they have the rest of the week to work and earn that money.
So as I'm sure you're aware, like that H2A program has been the focus of some controversy. Some people say it's not a good thing. Other people are saying this is the lifeline to keep growing food here in Washington the way that we do. What's your take on what do you hear? Because I'm sure you've had only one H2A worker come through your education program here, but I'm sure you know and have met lots of people in that program. What's your sense from people? Are they concerned about it? Do they need changes? Are they happy with the opportunity that they get?
I think 99% are very happy with that opportunity, just because they can make a little more money here. Because the dollar here is, you can live pretty comfortably in Mexico. If you move from here to Mexico,
right,
you can live pretty comfortably with not a lot of money. Yeah. So, having that opportunity for them to be here and help us, get the fruit that we need to, I think it's one of the best programs we have. H2A is very helpful. I think it's a unique program, very wonderful program too for anybody, looking for a chance to get a second opportunity or, raise their living habits or raise their way of life in a sense.
So the local Hispanic community, that community is so connected in this region to growing food. That's got to be a source of pride for that community. Talk a little bit about that. I think some people don't recognize, that yes, there's a lot of work. It's difficult. For some people, it's an opportunity like your parents to start, to be here with nothing and work their way up, so to speak. But it's part of the culture of that community here, right? What's that like? What do people need to know about that community more than just the individual people, but as a collective whole, the Hispanic, the Latino community here in Washington that's growing food?
Being Hispanic myself and growing up in a Hispanic household, I'm very proud of what we've been able to accomplish here. We're seeing a rise in a lot of, more businesswomen, businessmen of Latino descent get into, running businesses and everything else. My boss as well, Yurichi Lozano, she's fantastic. She does a great work. She's our dean here on campus for workforce education, and she does tremendous work. She helps us out, and a lot of the from me personally and from my family as well, we just try to help as much as we can. Yeah, we just want to help as much as we can, and keep helping. Same as everybody, we want to have a good life and live comfortable.
What do you feel about the future of growing food here in Washington?
We're going to keep growing. We're going to keep growing. We're going to have new varieties. I don't know if you've seen the news around, but there's a new apple on the rise. It's
newer than Cosmic Crisp?
Yeah. It's called, right now at the moment, it doesn't have a name. It's in the trial stages. It's called WA 64. Washington 64. That's a potential new apple variety. There was a couple field days last week with WSU. And another place where I used to work at the Washington Tree Fruit Research Commission. Nice. And so I helped a little bit too with collecting samples of WA 64 and taste testing them as well too. So it was it's an interesting apple.
Well, so sneak preview. It doesn't even have a name yet. But if it does, what do we need to know? What's it like? What can we expect?
So from that, I got a little handout, and so this apple is a cross between Crisp Pink or Pink Lady with Honeycrisp. Okay. So it's a very nice, it's a crisp apple, sweet tart, and it tastes pretty good. I remember when I was tasting it, it's gonna sound a little weird, but I got hints of pineapple. So it's a little acidic, but then it's got a sweet aftertaste. So I am looking forward to seeing what this apple will do.
I like that because I do like a good tart apple. Yeah. Even though the old school classic Granny Smith is a little bit much for me sometimes to eat just by itself. So some tartness and some sweetness to it. How much does all the science affect the flavor of what people are experiencing?
So It takes about 20 years to develop a new apple. It's a long process. So we just had the release of Cosmic Crisp about 2-3 years ago now.
Yeah.
Well, it was in production about 20 years ago after that, so before that. So
Wow.
you can only imagine it's just a lot of it's a lot of trial and error, finding that perfect cross. And so it's, once we get the apple we want with the characteristics we like, it's time to replicate it.
So this new selection, how far along is it in that process? Is it like 5 years in, 10 years in?
I would say more closer to like maybe 14, 15
Okay.
years. Yeah.
So it may not be too long if everything can, because again, they're still
Yeah.
making sure this is, so there's probably a lot of like things, not just what the apple tastes like, but how it grows and how resistant to drought and disease or different things it might be.
That's right.
Probably all has to, again, replicate all kinds of conditions.
Yeah, so a lot of what we did is there's a different selection sites. It ranges from Tri-Cities all the way up to Okanagan.
Mm-hmm.
It has to grow and grow in our state, so it's got to
Yeah.
be able to survive the cold conditions. What's the grow? Well, how does it grow? And all this other, like, how do we prune it? How do we what do we need to do? We need to figure out all these things before we can release it for mass more production. So figuring all those little details out is very critical before we release it. So with those field days, it's just kind of like a little sneak preview, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
So it's a great preview to like, okay, what can we expect from this apple?
Yeah. Well, I think we should go out to the orchard and check it out so you can show us some actual trees and how that all works.
That sounds fun to me.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
We'll have more of our conversation with farming educator Francisco Sarmiento in just a moment. But first, we do need to say thank you to some sponsors who make this all possible to have these conversations. First, Dairy Farmers of Washington, very supportive of this podcast from the very beginning. And we want to encourage you to support them as well. They just had a really cool event in Whatcom County called Whatcom This Way. So if you missed that, you probably want to get that on your calendar for next year. It's this new growing thing, but lots of other opportunities to connect with real dairy farmers, either in person or online and social media. If you check them out, wadairy.org is the website. WA as in WA for Washington, dairy, normal spelling. So all one word, wadairy.org. Check them out. And if nothing else, follow them on social media as well, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, etc. And say thank you to the Dairy Farmers of Washington for producing delicious, wholesome, healthy, ethically produced milk and dairy products here in Washington State. Again, wadairy.org. Also, Mana Insurance Group supporting the podcast. We thank them for their support, as well as what they do to help farms and a lot of individuals, businesses, you name it, in the world of insurance, and preparing a plan to make sure people are protected, their financial future is protected. And that's what insurance is really actually about. If you think about it, it's not about picking up the pieces when things go wrong. Well, certainly it is that, but it's about having a plan in advance to make sure that if and when things do go wrong, because it's life and things do happen, that you have something to protect your future, your family, your business, your farm. They insure all of those things via their partners that they work with, but they can help you find the right product or products, the right package of things to make sure you, your family, your farm, your business's financial future is protected. ManaInsuranceGroup.com is their website. Check them out. And now we go back to Wenatchee and continue our conversation there at Wenatchee Valley College with Francisco Sarmiento. So here we are in the orchard.
Yeah, we made it out.
One of the orchards that you guys work with at the college?
Yeah, so we do bring our students here to do to get them practical hands-on experience. We do crop estimates here. The manager here, Miguel, he's very helpful with that, and he shows us where to go and where we can enter.
I see water dripping out of the irrigation tubes there.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so drip irrigation. very efficient,
Yeah.
cost effective, and it's feeding water directly to the trees.
Versus having like a sprinkler spraying it over the whole area, right?
As you saw on our way over here, we saw some of those sprinklers spraying overhead.
Yep.
I mean, you're wasting quite a little water, and we saw some of the water got into our cars.
Yeah, yeah. So what is this orchard? Talk about what these trees are that we're seeing here.
Yeah, so today we're here with McDougall and Sons, and we're at Legacy Orchards, and this is one of their Cosmic Crisp blocks.
Okay.
Miguel was just telling me a little bit about what happened this year. They had a little bit of frost, and so they lost a little bit of fruit. So some of the apples froze over, and they...
How do they know that already? Because it's just from the blossoms of the apple that they can tell were damaged?
Yeah, so...
'Cause there's no actual fruit on the...
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it is, but it's just tiny, right?
Yeah, it's still growing, and the way you can tell is you usually grab a flower, and then you just open it up a little bit, and you can check the ovaries, check inside. And usually, if it's damaged, it'll just be completely black from the inside. And that's how you can tell, like, okay, we lost something here.
Right.
So you usually take samples, and you just get a rough estimate of a percentage of how much you lost. And so he was saying roughly that this year they were shooting for 80 bins to the acre, but they only managed to get 60. Or they're estimating for 60.
They
60
can
bins.
already tell that now.
Yeah.
Even though you can't actually see an apple, even though if you look up close, you probably find little tiny apples forming, or what stage are these at right now?
So right now they're little fruitlets right now, probably about almost the size of a golf ball, getting close to it at least, where we're at. But usually by now they're usually finding out they're getting pretty close to get hit, hopefully getting closer to their target that they're looking for. And so with these events, maybe they're going to be like, okay, we got to get what we can get, and we're going to hopefully get everything we can.
So what is just the overview of the process of growing apples like this? Like, when does the year start? I guess in the winter, what do you do, and when do things start getting busy? What are kind of all the steps in a nutshell?
So in a nutshell, let's start off with the beginning of the year in January. Usually January time, there's not much going on besides pruning. And and when we start pruning, we're already planning for next year's harvest. So we need to renew limbs, and we're already getting bud counts to find out, okay, do we have more buds for fruit or more buds for leaves? And you can usually tell the difference. One's a little more fatter than the other one, but that's how you can start to get an early estimate. And so as of the months go by, February, March, usually March is when we start seeing, late March, we'll start seeing some more activity and some more movement. Buds swelling up, and then once they burst, it's starting to go time.
So knowing whether a bud is going to just produce leaves or if it's going to produce fruit helps you kind of gauge how much fruit is going to be in a field, or what's the purpose of getting those counts and knowing that ahead of time?
So having those counts is crucial, just because we can find out, we can predict how much fruit we'll have. If we have a lot more fruit, okay, maybe we need to be a little more aggressive in our pruning and remove a little more fruiting buds. That way we don't have and we don't load our trees too much. Just because some varieties of apples, Fuji is notorious for this, it can get into what we call a biannual bearing. So 1 year it will produce 80 bins to the acre, and then the next year it'll be like half, so 40 bins to the acre. And it'll just end up in that cycle, like, okay, 80 1 year, 40 the next year. And that's what we call it on and off years.
So, and that's a result of not thinning enough and it producing too much fruit 1 year, so then like the tree is tired the next year, or like how does that work? Yeah,
so it's kind of like that's a great question, and it's just like I just explained this in my class the other day. So I'm just trying to think it in, I hear it in my head in Spanish, so I'm translating quickly in my head. But it's just a hormone dependence, and it's these buds, the trees are smart. They know, so one fruit bud for this year knows that next year, okay, I did my job, I produced fruit, next year I'm gonna be a leaf. So the trees know what they need. And so sometimes, if we prune too aggressive or we leave a lot of fruit on our trees, we could lose control and we lose that imbalance. And it can enter into that cycle. Like 1 year we'll have a lot of fruit, okay, well, that's awesome.
Right.
But maybe next year we're not gonna see as many fruit buds on the tree as we did the previous year. So it's It's a risk. Well, that's why we have all these tools that we go
Yeah.
sample, we go do our bud counts, we do all this stuff. Yeah.
There's a lot to it.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy that all of that and that you know so much of that ahead of time. So you're already doing that and pruning. And pruning is mostly like you're explaining to thin the tree out so it doesn't have too many buds producing fruit again. So there's not too much fruit on a given tree so it can support what it's producing.
Yeah, so basically, one of the reasons we prune is here's a little joke because we don't have anything else to do.
Right, I'm sure
Because
that's
harvest
the
is
truth,
over.
yeah. Right.
But no. In all seriousness, we prune just because I like to say farmers, as people in the industry that have orchards, we're harvesting sunlight. Sunlight is the key to photosynthesis.
Right.
Photosynthesis is the life source of all plants, and so the having good photosynthesis, we're gonna have good healthy trees. So we prune to be able to let light get in a lot easier. We've developed training systems, as you can see here. We have a V trellis.
Right.
So
the
there's
tree actually.
it's shaped like a V, and then light can be enter in the middle, and on the sides as well too. So we have good light penetration. That's
Right.
what we prune, is to make sure that we can able to, in a sense, harvest the sunlight so our trees can continue producing healthy, beautiful fruit.
Solar powered apple producing units,
Yep.
aka trees.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So then as the year goes, there's pruning and thinning and all of that.
Yeah.
What happens from there?
So as we go there more, apple trees, they have what we call, they have flowers, and usually these flowers will all become of an apple if we let them. So usually a little more like April, Mayish, we're spraying, and sometimes what we call thinning. And so thinning is we're reducing that amount of flowers that are on the tree, and that we can do that by hand or we can do it chemically by spraying some thinners. And we do this all we follow the labels because the label is the law for all our products that we use.
Yep.
And so we're following the labels, and we're following the recommendations we get from fieldmen and that are helping us out in our orchards. And so we want to hit those targets.
So is that not organic then, I'm assuming, if you're thinning that way, or is there an organic way to spray to thin?
So there is an organic way to spray.
Okay.
To spray, not to sprint, but to spray.
Yeah.
But most of the times there's a lot of organic products that we use, and there's a lot of we just got to make sure that all the labels say that they're certified organic.
Right.
And we have an arsenal of products that we use throughout the year for whatever need we need. But the difference with conventional, which is what we just not organic,
Right.
we have a lot more tools in the conventional arsenal than compared to an organic. Organic, we're very limited. Don't have that many options, but some of them are good. Some of them are not as effective, but they get the job done.
Right.
So once we get closer to harvest, that's when go time is. We got to prep all the bins. We got to get our final estimates. We got to find out, okay, who are we going to send our fruit to? How many people do we need for harvest this year?
Right.
Who's going to be, all those little details come into play as we get closer to harvest. So during the summer, that's kind of when the planning stages start happening.
Yeah.
So we're just, that's.
And a lot of people do apples and cherries. So then in the summertime, like in June and July, cherries are happening too.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah, we're
For a
just
lot of
talking right
farms.
now mainly for apples, but if we incorporate cherries into it, man, that planting stage is happening now, just because we're so close to cherry harvest here in the area too. And I'm predicting we'll start picking cherries closer to July, end of June. So I'm sure some of the people that have cherries are already planning, okay, like, all right, we got our bin trailers, we got our bins, we got our crew, we got our designated crew leaders here, and then it's just go time once cherries start.
Yeah. So when does apple harvest generally start? I guess that probably depends where you are and how high your field is on the side of the mountain or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
So elevation is also key, and the higher you up, the more it takes time for fruit to mature. Where I used to work for Kyle Matheson Orchards, we started cherries about end of June, and we didn't get done until August. So it was a long cherry season, not your typical cherry season.
Because the fields are staggered at different elevations to ripen later.
Yeah, so our cherry field started from, I can't remember the elevation, but we were at the bottom, and then we just kept moving up the mountain. And as soon as we got to the top of the mountain, that's when we knew, like, okay, we finally finished cherries this year.
So I can get fresh Washington cherries in August?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know.
It didn't used to be that way, right? Because the
No.
fields were mostly lower.
Yeah. So usually, by the whole month of July, you can find all the cherries you can in all areas. So it's good stuff, though. It's good.
And then picking apples, when does that usually start?
Usually late August, September is when we start getting some of the early varieties, such as galas. Usually is when we start picking first, and then we go from there. A lot of the farmers, they definitely do plan ahead, and they we work with the nurseries, and they tell us, okay, this is the timing of when this variety is getting picked. So this is when the other variety is. So that way, when you're planning to start an orchard, you can do, okay, I'm going to plant galas here. I'm going to plant something here in the middle, about September, October timing, and then maybe something for November if you want to go that far. A good late variety is like Pink Lady, and usually those are the last ones to pick. So you can face some challenges there because you can end up almost in snow.
Yeah. What if it freezes? Does that just like ruin the apples that are still on the tree?
Yeah. So when I used to work at Olsen Brothers, we had a freezing event in our apples, and so we had to wait until they thawed out, just so we can start harvesting them. Just because if you harvest them frozen, you could develop some internal disorders in the apple. They can. So in Spanish, you say "se van a echar a perder." They'll go bad pretty quick.
Yeah.
So that's a
But they
risk.
can still be good apples, or do they got to be like juice apples or something?
Yeah, that'll depend on the owner there, what they want to do. We where we worked, we took a risk and it paid off in the end.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure if they have to be picked for juice, there's a lot less return for that versus picking for fresh market.
Yeah, definitely.
For people to get in the store.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a completely different world from juice to fresh. So
that gets you to November, and then you start it all over again.
And you start over again, yeah.
It's a lot of stuff to do, but it's what this state is famous for.
Yes.
Right?
Washington famous apples.
Yeah.
You'll find them all over the world.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you for having us out here to the orchard and to the school earlier. It was great to see the lab and to hear your whole story.
Oh, thank you.
And no, I really appreciate it. And also your background, in farming as a farm worker family, and then getting, doing that, being a manager, and then being in education. It's a cool storyline of all the things that you've been involved with.
Yeah.
What's your dream? You want to stay in education? You're going to have your own orchard someday? What?
The dream is to continue education. I have really found a love for it. Yeah. I'm very happy I love what I'm doing now. I can't believe what I'm doing now. Yeah. Like the old saying goes, you won't work if you love what you do. Yeah. So I love what I do. It doesn't feel like work. I just really enjoy it, and I'm very happy to be at Wenatchee Valley College. I'm thankful for all the employers I've had, and thank you for being able to share my story, and thank you for coming out here to Wenatchee.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
This is the Real Food, Real People podcast. These are the stories of the people who grow your food.